invitation, and I hung on to the pew as far as I could. And I wasn't going to go forward. I'm a kind of a stubborn person. And so after several came forward to be saved, he said, now we're going into this room and we're going to talk to the children who were saved. And if you want to be saved, you come right on in and you can be saved too. All those who came forward today, and anyone else can come, because God is willing to accept any child, any boy and girl, as Savior. And so I thought, well, I can do that. And I started down the aisle, and my little girlfriend said, she came forward to be saved. Dickie was her name. And she said, where are you going, Novita? Something like that. I don't remember every word. I was only 7. And I said, well, I want to be saved. She said, well, your daddy said only the saved kids could come in there. Something like that. And I started crying. And I was walking down the road. And the teacher came and she said, Novita, why are you crying? I says, I want to be saved, but Dickie won't let me. So she said, you go on in there. You can be saved today. It's all right. So there was a teacher standing there doing God's will for us. And when I got in there, Dad was sitting on the other side talking to the children, and Mother was sitting closer to me. And so Mother prayed with me, and I accepted Jesus as my Savior. And you know, He's always been there. And I haven't always been there for Him, but He's always been there for me. And He's taken me through different steps in my life. And right now, I'm trying to learn the Scriptures. I'm trying to learn the New Testament reasons why we should be saved and what we should do. You know, sometimes we read through the books of the Bible and we understand it, but there's some rules in that New Testament that Paul tells us that we need to really begin to study and believe and say, these are for me, let's do it. And I'm going to try to and do better.
Well, last but not least is the oldest of Mother's children. That's Sylvia here on the front row. And her husband, Paul, who's been a pastor in churches in California and other ministries. They've had a great time, a variety. All of us have. You know, one thing I wanted to say when Randy was talking too about his service with African Americans, of course that is a great part of the military as well. And back to this WMU time with RAs, you know, we were convinced that the Lord loved every human being the same way. And here we were, as all of us know, in the South, in a strong, opinionated area, and but our church was teaching us this, and we believed it. And so we have found ministries in other places of the world besides just right here in our Oklahoma environment. And for our family, it's been a blessing, even though it's separated some of us in distance. But Joanne or Paul, do you have something? Or Joanne, Sylvia or Paul?
She's going to do it the old-fashioned way and put her hand on my shoulder as I sing.
Yeah, by the way, I'll say this before they do. They have learned to team preach, or teach, which is...
Now we're teaching, team teaching. And we did lead the services. We've had worship services, and so first of all, well, he did it, and then we started team teaching and doing our worship service together, and then we had to start dropping off. He had 6 places where he
Bible
went.
studies each
Bible
week.
studies every week. And we went to retirement homes first. And then as we got older, we went to assisted living services. We haven't gone to nursing homes yet. When we get older, we'll go to nursing homes.
Yeah.
But right now, we go to assisted living, and it's a smaller room, so they can hear my husband talk. We had to give up our worship service because his voice was getting a little softer. I was so surprised at how, we were saved about the same. We were in a revival when I was saved, and we always cry when we talk about being saved.
Yay!
But I was almost 6, and so the same thing happened. I started crying, because I didn't want to go to hell, and I thought I was going to go to hell, and so Daddy and Mother said, "Sylvia, why are you crying?" And said the same thing. And I said, "Because I don't want to go to hell." And so, well, you can be saved, but you won't let me be saved. Because Mother thought I was too young, because she had a bad experience about that. And so, but finally they realized that I really did want to be saved. So Mother and Daddy talked to me and explained how easy it was to just receive. And Daddy gave me a pen. Whoa. A pen. That was really important in those days. He gave me a pen. And he said, "It's that simple, you just receive." And so I asked Jesus to come into my heart. And soon after that, God called me into the ministry. So then I met my husband at OBU, and we joined Emmanuel Baptist Church together, and I think that's what he likes to talk about. A little bit.
I don't know if I can or not. I'll try. Yes, it was a great day when I met Sylvia. We had, this was my second year at OBU, and as was the pattern in those days, we wanted to move our membership I wanted to move my membership from a California church there to Emmanuel, and so she had come up to move her membership. And so they had us stand together in a line. All of the students that were there, they were joining the church, so the church, front of the church was just a line all around with students. And so I noticed that the girl that came to stand next to me was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. She was tall, and that was unusual because I'd always gone with these shorties. Usually they're about 5'3" or something,
No offense to 5'3".
No, that's the average American height.
She was taller, and she was black hair, long black hair, and beautiful. And when the line went by, then I said to her, "Well, everybody else has welcomed us, so we ought to welcome each other." That was as much nerve as I had to say that to her. I was very shy about to the girls. And so I said, "My name is Paul Cheek," and she said, "My name is Sylvia Hendricks." And right at that minute, my uncle, who was a deacon in that church, came right up there. He said, "I know this girl, I know her family, I know all about her." And that was just saved the day for me, because I wanted to date this girl, but I was too scared to do it. And so
I don't believe it.
I tried
That's how he
to
tells it.
Yeah, and so let's see. Now lost my train of thought. Any of you ever lose that?
Yeah.
Lost the train.
Occasionally.
Lost my train.
Derailed.
That's about it.
Yeah, you right.
But then
Well,
after that, we went together for a couple of years. We were engaged for a year, and we got married at Fox, Oklahoma. And because we couldn't